Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Haejun from Hanshi. Today I'm gonna go over how to pronounce Batchim, the final consonants. So I can't tell you if you ask me why there are double consonants in certain words like this, but I can tell you how to pronounce them naturally so that you don't panic when you see them. There are several people, actually quite a lot of people, a lot of Korean people don't know how to pronounce these double consonants either. So whenever they say this out loud in a grammar structure, it sounds very awkward and sometimes the meaning even gets conflicted. So in order for you to get your message across and read them properly, this is the way you do it. So first of all, let's try to use this example, 밝다. 밝다 means to be bright. And the way I pronounce this, even though this has a double final consonant, is 밝다. I only pronounce the latter, which is 기억 in this case. So 리을 becomes silent. Therefore, I pronounced it as 밝다 instead of 밝다. However, when you attach this word with something like a polite ending, like 어유아유, then the way you pronounce this word changes. So here you see 밝다 with 어유아유. It becomes 밝아요. And now in this case, I pronounced the former consonant, which is 리을, not 기억. And that is because of this rule. Whenever you see a word or a grammar structure that is starting with 이응, you can actually revive both of the sound of the double consonant that you see of the main word that you're using. So in this case, 밝다 originally got only one sound with 기억. But when you add 밝다 with 어유아유, because you see 어유아유 starting with a vowel 이응, you can roll over the sound of 기억 and keep 리을. So the way you would pronounce this is 밝아요. The reason behind this is because the vowel 이응 does not have a sound value. Therefore, you can roll over the previous sound value from the double final consonant, and by doing so, you're able to pronounce them more naturally. With the whole rollover thing, it's very consistent within all these different kind of consonants that you might see. So let's look at this example. 무릎. 무릎 means your knees. Although this is not ending in a double final consonant, when you just pronounce it as is, it just becomes 무릎. But when you attach this with another vowel 이응, let's say your knees hurt, then you can say 무릎이 아파요. Did you just catch that? That p sound gets rolled over to e, and you get 피, 무릎이 아파요. Many people say 무릎이 아파요 without pronouncing p as strong as I just did, but the proper way of saying this is 무릎이 아파요 instead of 무릎이 아파요. And how about this one? 햇빛. 햇빛 means a sunshine. When you just pronounce this word itself, it just becomes 햇빛. It doesn't really have that ch sound to it, where 빛, meaning just light, ends with a 치읓, which has a ch sound. But again, when you use this word in a sentence and you attach a word that starts with a vowel 이응, then this ch sound will revive. So when you say the sunshine is eye-blinding, that is so bright. 햇빛이 눈부셔요. 햇빛이 E is a particle for subject, and 눈부시다. 눈 is your eyes, right? But 부시다 means it's so bright that it's blinding. And you're attaching the polite ending 어유아유. So 눈부셔요. 눈부셔요. 햇빛이 눈부셔요. And did you just hear that? 햇빛이. Instead of saying 햇빛이 눈부셔요, I said 햇빛이 눈부셔요. You see how that ch sound rolled over to the subject particle e? Because 이응 has no sound value. Talking about 빛, meaning a light. So many Korean people get this confused. Pit and pit. There's another word that actually sounds the same when you just say the word itself. That another pit is dead. So you have like alone or dead. Pit, the light, ends in a ch sound. But pit, meaning a dead, is ending in a j sound. But since they're so similar, the way they look and the way they sound, so many Koreans don't know how to pronounce them correctly in a sentence. So let's say you have a lot of debt. Then you can say 빚이 많아요. 빚이, 빚, debt, 이 is a subject particle. So 빚이, like I said, 이응 has a no sound value. So you roll over the previous consonant sound and therefore you just say 빚이 많아요. And hear this. This is the wrong way because they don't know how to roll over the sound 지읒, 빚이. So many people just say 빚이. And you get kind of confused. Are you talking about a light or are you talking about a debt? For example, you say there's no light. 빛이 없어요. But with that ch sound, you hear that s sound as well, the s sound. So whenever Koreans pronounce debt, 빛, in a sentence, in a wrong way, by saying it as 빚이, since you hear that s sound, sometimes you think, are you talking about light? But you figure out by the context that it's really not the light that they're talking about. But you hear that it's so wrong because it's so unnatural. So the proper way of saying light in a sentence is 빛이, 치 rolls over, so 빛이 없어요. And 빚이 많아요, you have a lot of debt. So remember the rollover. Then let's look at this example. 괜찮다. 괜찮다 means to be okay. And you see that double consonant in the middle, 괜찮다. But when I pronounce this, you don't hear that consonant hi읗, which sounds like h. But this is also considered that it doesn't have much sound value because it's a h sound. So you only keep 니은 sound. Therefore, you just pronounce it as 괜찮다, 괜찮다. However, you hear that 타 sound instead of 다. And that is because from that h sound combined with 디귿, d sound, you get the sound of t in order for you to make it sound more naturally so that it flows. So you don't pronounce it as 괜찮다, it goes 괜찮다. You see how the latter final consonant rolled over and became 타 instead of 타? H sound gave that stronger t sound to the d sound of 타, right? Another example that I could give you is when you're saying a word like 잡히다. 잡히다 means to be caught. And in this case, because you see 비읍 in 잡 and you have 히다, more of an air sound, the 비읍 sound becomes a p sound instead of b sound. Therefore, you don't really say 잡히다, but you say 잡히다. So the pattern here that I want to say is by that h sound, your airflow kind of stops and it kind of makes B as an English alphabet into more of a plosive sound, p instead of b. Let's use another example. 파랗다. It means that something is so blue. And when you put this in a sentence, like you want to say it's not so blue, then you can say 파랗지 않아요. 지 않다 is a long negation form of not. You drop 다 and add 파랗지 않다. 지 않다. However, this G sound becomes a 치 sound. 파랗지 않아요. So in conclusion, I want you to remember the formula of rolling over the sounds. So when you have those double consonants, usually you get the latter sound. But when you attach that with a vowel 이응, you get to revive both of the sound values of double final consonants, like 밝다, becoming 밝아요. Or just remember the rollover rule. Whenever you see the vowel 이응, which has no sound value, the final consonant from the previous word gets rolled over to 이응, like in a sentence, 빚이 많아요. I have a lot of debt. So that is all I got for today. Today's lesson was a very general and broad idea of how to pronounce these final consonants, Batchim, because it's sometimes very hard because it sounds like you need to pronounce each and every consonant that you see, but that's really not the case. Sometimes it's omitted, the sound has no value, and that's why there are some rollovers. But these are some basic things that you needed to know in order for you to sound more naturally when you're reading Korean, that even some Koreans don't get right. I hope today's lesson was helpful for your study, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!